think discovering, well, I'll give you a couple of examples.
Yeah.
So, discovering in an archive in Germany that some of the German soldiers, this was an archive of war crimes investigators, and it contained case files of investigations conducted by the police in the 1970s about things that had happened in the war that never came to trial. So, they've been left there in the archives. All these interviews of these middle-aged men being called into their local police station, you know, after becoming middle managers in the local factory or wherever, about what they'd done as boys in an army unit in Greece in 1943 on August the 15th. And so I had started reading about one case, and I actually knew the village. I'd gone to the village and interviewed some of the survivors where a lot of people were killed. And then finding, and you could have only found it in this kind of material, that actually these soldiers had really had a terrific argument among themselves on the way back about what they'd done. That was really interesting because it opened up, or it kind of emphasised the importance of doing a sort of ethnography of the Nazi soldier. Right? You couldn't assume you knew what they thought, because actually they disagreed with themselves about all of this. And then they'd had this huge argument in which they tried to make sense of it. So how did the young National Socialist Wehrmacht soldier make sense of massive violence? That's an interesting kind of question. And that led in a direction that I spent a lot of time on. I remember asking my father how they'd felt at the end of the war. And he said, well, the thing was, we all felt, we're very glad, of course, we all felt extremely tired. And so that's, that actually resonated with me. What was the kind of private-public interplay? War is by definition utterly public. But then you go back into your private life, and what do you take with you, and how does it shape the private? Loads of things. I mean, there's a little archive I work on in a Greek island, and it told me a story about two villages that I often walk through, which are 100 yards apart. They sort of look in on the same valley, where they used to have stone-throwing wars. Quite serious stone-throwing wars. And we're talking about the 1820s. Well, who the hell ever heard of stone-throwing wars? And what were they about?
Yeah.
Right? So you're always coming across this kind of thing.
Now, does it help to